The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome along to the first Treaty Talk episode of 2024. Tom Clancy here with you as ever, and delighted to say I'm joined once again for 2024 after a contract extension with Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. And Matt is here as ever to talk everything Limerick GA in recent times. A reminder that all GA coverage on Sporting Limerick is in association with Noels Menswear. Check out noels.ie for all the latest offers this January. Matt, 2024 could potentially be a really, really historic year in Limerick GA. The drive for 5, it has already begun in earnest. Is it time to buckle ourselves in for a special season and a special year ahead?
Well, you know, I Happy New Year to you, Tom, and Happy New Year to all our listeners and viewers. But I'm a small bit slow at talking about 5 in a row because I asked John Kiley about 5 in a row immediately after the All-Ireland. And you remember the answer he gave me? He told me go away and enjoy the 4, you know. Yeah. So we're still winding down, enjoying the 4. But yeah, sure, look, Tom, it has the potential to being a very historic year, not only just a historic year for Limerick, but a historic year for the game of hurling. Because Limerick have an opportunity and to make a unique piece of history. And I suppose if the early signs of the year, if we're to go by last Wednesday night in Clare Castle, the early omens are good. That was a very, very good win over Clare in the Munster Senior Hurling League. And in many ways, the way John Kiley set out about it, mirrors 2022 when he practically sent out a team of fringe players with the exception of one or two. Back in 2022, I think it was Barry Nash. This year it's probably Dan Morrissey. And like you heard him in his interview after the game, he seemed to be quite pleased with what he saw. And obviously the result, they put up 2 goals and 21 points against the old enemy, were comfortable winners. The omens are good. Now, it was an opportunity to see a lot of new players, and he used that opportunity. He used it very well because Ethan Hurley was the only debutant from the start, but there was a number of debutants from the bench like David Fitzgerald, Joe Fitzgerald, Darragh Langan. There was one or two more. Luke Flynn, who got a goal now, and we saw him. You and I saw him in the county final, if you recall, and we were. I'm not terribly surprised that Luke Flynn is in the frame because you recall the 2 spectacular points he got when the game was on a knife edge, when he came out around the middle of the park. And it's great to see a fella like him getting up, and great to see them all coming up and getting a test at a higher level. But the whole exercise augurs very well for the year. But you know, the Cork will present a different challenge when they come to McNeville Park next Wednesday evening. Now, in the meantime, Cork and Clare will be playing in Páirc Uí Rinn. Now, Cork, for the first round against Limerick, had named a pretty strong side, Tom. They had named 6 that you would consider would be likely starters come the championship, certainly come the league, and probably come the championship. So like you had the likes of Limerick was named. You had Rob Downey was named. Conor Lahan, Darragh Fitzgibbon, like there was big names, frontline players named. So it will be very interesting. Now we're Cork to beat Clare on Sunday. It'll be a winner take all on Wednesday night in McNeville Park. So I understand now that the capacity of McNeville Park could be limited, similar to it was in Newcastle or in Clarecastle, and that the tickets are going on sale on Monday.
Monday, yeah.
For McNeville Park. So, look, it's very interesting competition. It's turned out to be an interesting competition now. The way the cards have fell, as it were. Very disappointing that the Cork Limerick game did not take place, because we would be in a position now to speak about finalists if it were. But I arrived at the ground. I saw you from me. I arrived at the ground about 10-1, and like, in fairness, Tom, you know, there wasn't a hope in God's earth that the game could be played.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Now, the Munster, I think, took a wise decision in not to admit supporters, but you saw the massive queue of supporters that were there. I suppose there was the bones of a couple of thousand people there, you know, all queued back along. So you'd wonder, had it got the green light even at 1:15, would they all have got into the ground before the game got underway? And like, it was unfortunate that the official confirmation that the game was off didn't come until about 25-2, which was 25 minutes before throwing. But look, that's what it is. We have to move on. Limerick moved on to Clarecastle and got that good win out of it. So now it could very well be that next Wednesday night, who will face Waterford in the final will be decided by the Cork Limerick game or the Limerick game against Cork. And so, you know, the competition is panning out well. I sometimes wonder about the value of these competitions, Tom. And it was brought into focus for me there actually sometime before Christmas, and I think I spoke with you about this, where the GPA have voted overwhelmingly to get rid of these competitions, but it didn't have an impact in the GAA, you know. So, and I was looking at the GAA reports, and then their accounts, their convention is on at the weekend, and they circulated their convention, you know, paraphernalia, and it's a nice little earner for the Munster Council. And, you know, I have no difficulty with whatever the Munster Council get in, Tom, for the simple reason that they've been very, very generous with their grants. And, you know, we have to say that. And we've seen the amount of clubs over the years that have got generous grants from the Munster Council for various developments. And you can see the standard. You can see the standard of our pitches and our facilities right across the county. And I remember, and I suppose I'm giving away my age here, you know, when most people, when a lot of people out of, I suppose maybe 2 out of 5 venues, you know, you're tugged out by the ditch.
Yeah.
You know, that's all gone.
Now,
that is all gone. And like Central Council have been generous as well, but the Munster Council have, you know, they've been, I think they've been very fair in spreading the pie around. But it's a nice earner, but, you know, obviously if the GPA vote overwhelmingly to get rid of the competitions, you just wonder what the future is.
Yeah. And just to add to a few points there in terms of the competition, the way the season is split now as well, Matt, I think it adds to these competitions, because people are longing to see the Green and Limerick. Obviously, Limerick are on a crest of a wave, but even in other counties, people want to get out and see Waterford. They want to see Tip. You know, they want to see their counties. They haven't seen them for 6-7 months in some cases. You know, that's why it lends itself to good crowds. It lends itself to a bit more interest. Whereas in previous years, maybe going back 10 or 15 years, maybe didn't have that there wasn't such a gap, maybe, you know, and people were happy to wait till the National League. But now people are just itching, maybe over Christmas in particular, itching to get out, itching to see their team and see what the new offerings is. And Matt, just to go back to the team that was played on Wednesday night, Emmet McAvoy was also a debutant from the start at cornerback.
My apologies there.
Just to correct the record there, and also you mentioned Ethan Hurley from Newcastle West, but I kind of viewed it as a bit of a trial game. Now, there was something like 12 new players in the Limerick panel or something in around that number. You mentioned a few of them there: Luke Flynn, Darrell Langan. That guys that came off the bench, Mike Keane of it there, Liam Lynch from Munger St. Paul's, Joe Fitzgerald, Davy Fitzgerald, Colin Ballaskenry. There's no way that all of these guys are going to be on the panel this year. I would suspect. So there's only room for a certain amount. Now, what that number is, we don't know. But if there's only going to be room for 4 or 5 of the names I've mentioned there, these guys want to put their best foot forward. And what better way than in a competitive game in front of, I think, 1,500 to 2,000 people, to dip their toe in the senior jersey in Limerick. It's an ideal scenario rather than a behind closed door, challenge game where there's no one there and it's a bit false. This is a little bit higher of a step up. So from that point of view, it's great for Limerick.
You're right. There's a certain element of a competitive level in it. There's a competitive level in the competition, and then there's a competitive level within the respective panels. And you mentioned Mike Keane there, and I'm very, very glad to see Mike Keane back, because for me, he was one of the best minors I've seen playing with Limerick for a while. It's great to see him back. It's great to see that Liam Lynch has put his injury woes behind him, and that because he was dogged by injury for almost 12 months. And it's great to see this happening, but it's great to see that they're getting their opportunity and that they haven't lost it, as it were, with injury and all this sort of thing. But my apologies there. I should have mentioned Emmet McAvoy at the start, and I suppose we can't be too surprised with Emmet McAvoy, because I think he showed very, very well in the championship for the Piercy guy. If you're talking about breakthrough players in the Limerick Championship, Emmet McAvoy would be right up there. And it's good to see him. And I think he got an hour, did he? Or he got the most of it anyway.
Yeah, he got about that, so 55 minutes or so, I think. Have it here. Yeah. Where's he gone now? He did. He from the start in here, cornerback. I've just lost it here on my notes, but where's he gone? Yeah, I think it's around 50 odd minutes, which is great. For a young guy.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah. And in nearly all cases here, Matt, as well, these guys are all in around, I'd say, between 20 and 23. All these new faces. There's a clear emphasis on that from the Limerick management. They're not going to be bringing in a 30-year-old. Unfortunately, my race is run in that regard. But they're going to be bringing in guys that are hungry, guys that are at the where the ceiling is potentially a lot higher than a guy who's maybe 6 or 7 years further down the line. They want to see what these guys are made of coming out of 20s. Yeah. Some of them just out of 20s, some of them out of 20s a year or two. And it's the ideal model. It's what the Limerick panel of maybe 17 and 18 was built on. Guys that had emerged through minor and 21s campaigns and were just coming to that, coming up that graph. So it's the same here, I guess. They're just trying to see how these guys survive in training and how they survive in the match scenario, and see who'll be carried along from there. So it's a conscious effort, I think, from Kylie and Co.
It's great to see the like of Paddy Donovan stepping up as well, and I never had the slightest doubt about Paddy Donovan that was the place for him. That he was up for that level, and we see Shane O'Brien again. Even though it's early season, but basically he's carrying on with the type of form that he was showing last year. Like Donegal Dolly, there's so many promising things there. Adam English, I wasn't at the game, but there was somebody telling me today that Barry Murphy and Colin Coughlin had a right tight grip on midfield.
They did, yeah.
Yeah,
so good to be exploring different options.
Mark Quinlan had a very good outing.
Yeah.
So it's a performance that's laced with positivity. And when I think back on the day, and they'll say that old fogey is always hankering for the past. But I'm only just using it to contrast what it used to be, you know, in Limerick, when you were at times struggling to get 15, we'll say, that were really up to the level. But now it looks as if we've 30 something.
Yeah.
That can be comfortable at that level, which is it's a very strong place to be, Tom.
It certainly is, yeah, and I think it augurs well even beyond this year, whatever may happen. And yeah, we'll only whisper maybe the drive for 5 for now, but certainly the first steps on that journey have been positive ones, and we'll see in McNeville Park next Wednesday night what comes of it. As Matt said, there are tickets for that one going on sale early next week, Monday, so there'll be a fair scramble for those. It was always intended to be a Limerick home game, and that's the way it will remain. Matt, just switching now down the grades, as we are down a bit towards the under-19 Hearty Cup, a Limerick Derby. Not too often we've had to say that down the years in the Hearty Cup. There's been a few, I'm sure, down the years, but Ardscoilreash on Wednesday got the better of the hospital in Kilmallock. Limerick Derby, a lot of Clare involvement with Ardscoilreash. Obviously, just where they're situated, they're going to get Clare involvement, but hospital put it up to them, and I suppose many people's pick for a team going to win it, Ardscoilreash, just about did enough to get over the line against hospital. Yeah,
look, there's no question about it, and tis only when you see them down in paper that you realise what a stellar team this Ardscoilreash team is. Because if you take the like of James O'Keefe, Sean Morrissey, they were Limerick minors. You take Shane Scully, who had an absolutely fantastic game with Drummond and Clacka in the county final. That will give you an idea of the top. Fintan Fitzgerald, outstanding for Mungrove throughout the year. That will just give you an idea of the quality that's there from Limerick. But if you look at the Clare quality that's in the team, Jamie Moylan, Matthew O'Halloran, Mark O'Brien, Michael Collins, Owen Begley, all All-Ireland winners with Clare in 2023. It'll give you an idea of the stellar cast that Ardscoilreash have. And in the first half, at the end of which they led by 10 points to 6. They looked the real deal, I would have to say. But at no stage now, their touch was that little bit sharper. And things came that little small bit easier to them, and that could have been crucial in the finish. But at no stage were John the Baptist overawed by him, and certainly at no stage did they throw in the towel, because like they took the game to him in the second half, 4 points down at half time. They had the margin back to a point with 8 minutes to go. On the 52nd minute, Hugh Flanagan sent over his 4th point of the game. Now there was Limerick minors on the ex-Limerick minors on the John the Baptist team. You had Sean Casey at centre back, very, very good. You had Owen Meany, who was back in 22, a minor, outstanding at midfield. You had Hugh Flanagan, players like that. And at that stage, it was game on. No question about it, because they were after landing 3 points in a row. They had maintained the 4 points differential at the three-quarter stage, but John the Baptist found that that bit of a scoring spurt and brought it down to a point. And it was then that it was I think it was Owen Carey who had come on that got a point for Ardscoilreash, and Fintan Fitzgerald, and I spoke about him at the start and the quality that he brings. He got a great point from play, and then he added a point from free, which closed it out. But up to that point, at that point, as I said, it was anyone's game, because the amount of intensity and the level of work rate that John the Baptist brought to it was simply phenomenal. Maybe they conceded that little bit in terms of first touch and that extra bit of sharpness, but by God, did they make it up for it in work rate and in spirit. And you know, it's Artscoil Reach have gone to the semi-final, and they will have learned so much. Now, Artscoil Reach had 13 wides, but a lot of it was due to the pressure that was put on people that were trying to shoot. You know, anybody that was teeing up for goal, he was closed down and he was shooting under pressure, and by John the Baptist. But they will have learned so much. It will be so beneficial to the game will be so beneficial. I can't say how much it will be, because it will be so much beneficial to them when they face Artscoil Reach in the semi-final. Or sorry, when they play Thurles CBS in the semi-final.
Yeah. Yeah, Thurles CBS were defeated in last year's final, if I'm not mistaken. So they're obviously trying to build towards bringing the Hearty back to Tipperary after it was residing there from last year as well. So yeah, at least there's Limerick involvement beyond this. Obviously, there was only one could progress, and disappointment for Hospital. But
it's not quite as easy as that now. Thurles beat St. Flannan's, and the key man for St. Flannan's, as you know, was Tightbody of Bruff.
Yeah,
you know,
and there's still
who's had an outstanding year for them. But Charleville CBS are into the semi-final, and they're there on merit. And the 6 of the panel are from Limerick. There are 2 from Brewery, 3 from Granaballingary, and 1 from Castletown Ballygran. Now, they have already knocked out Cashel Community School, who were the champions.
Yeah.
Like in Middleton, they faced Middleton in Mallow last Wednesday as red-hot favourites. Middleton were red-hot favourites. And Charleville very, very comfortably overturned them. The respectability on the scoreboard was brought about by 2 late Middleton goals. But there was 2 Limerick lads starting. Niall Tobin was starting at cornerback from Brewery, and the lad, his first name escapes me, but he's Horgan from Granaballingary. He played at right half forward. So there is there is Limerick interest in 2 fronts. In the competition. It's not a million years ago since about 2012, I'd say, that Charleville CBS reached the Hearty Cup final when they were beaten by Artscoil Reach in the Gaelic grounds, and their centre half back that year was one and only David Reedy, who was absolutely outstanding. And prior to that, they hadn't actually reached the Hearty Cup final since 1938. So, they're just one game away from a Hearty Cup final, and apart from the Limerick players, they're drawn from very strong clubs. You Ballyhay, Charleville, Newtown, Dromina. Real strong hurling strongholds. Judging on their record so far, Tom, in reaching the semi-final. They're not to be scoffed, and one of their mentors, James Reardon, there's quite a Limerick connection with Charleville.
Yeah, absolutely, there is. Yeah, and Owen Horgan was the name of the player looking for some Niall Tobin.
Owen Horgan. That's my apologies, Owen. My apologies for missing your first name, but he was playing wing forward.
Yeah. So they were in from the start, and you'd Ian Sheehy of Granaballingary as well. Just looking at the names here, Brian Horgan of Brewery, and there was Tom Horgan of Granaballingary also involved. I think that was the Limerick players involved.
No, there's Aaron Dean is involved as well from Brewery, and Bobby Dowling from Castletown Ballygran.
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, just see them there on the list. Yeah, so plenty of Limerick involvement in both semi-finals. So, as it were, so hopefully we'll see some Limerick involvement in the final in the early spring. Matt, will switch codes now to football, and plenty of football action since we last spoke just prior to Christmas. The weather wasn't kind, but in fairness, the under-20 football finals by hook or by crook got finished. There was 3 finals that were played just after Christmas Day. The under-21 Premier was won by Mungret St. Paul's. The 21A was won by Ula on penalties, and the under-21B won by Drumcolour Broadford. Matt, we'll start just by looking at the B final, Drumcolour Broadford.
Tom, can I just take a global view at it first, and I'll answer your question directly then, because I would have to say that there were 3 excellent finals. No, I didn't see the Mungret Father Casey's final because it coincided. It was on at the same time as Ballylanders and Ula, but all accounts were that it was an excellent final. Sure, it was decided by a point in the end. But for the time of year, it was... the quality was very, very good, I would have to say. And, the weather was kind, except in Tournafulla, apparently, because I got drowned at both the A and the B final, but I got drowned during the presentations.
Yeah.
We stepped it up till then. So I was saying, coming home, damn those bloody presentations, but they're part and parcel of it. But the B final, the B final, when you're talking about the V final, you've got to talk about Brian Ahern.
Yeah. Remind us, Matt.
His performance was just off the charts, Tom. Like, his team scores 213. He scores 112 of it, 110 from play.
Yeah.
He was just his performance was simply majestic,
Can you ever recall, Matt?
Absolutely outstanding. No, he's back in Drumcolour Broadford, and what a huge asset he is to him, because I think he was away in America for a couple of years on a football scholarship, and I think he's playing his football now with Fairview in Limerick, and or one of the Limerick sides anyway. And they also had at centre back Robbie Lynch, who plays with Treaty United.
Yeah,
but I thought it was a very, very good performance by Drum. Now, A Hand with the Breeze had the upper hand in the first half, and they seemed to be heading for a very, very comfortable half-time lead of possibly up to 8 points. But Brian Ahern kicked 3 points against the wind, one after another from play, just coming up to half-time. And suddenly the half-time deficit was far more manageable with the wind to turn over to their backs. And I was convinced anyway that if Brian Ahern saw enough of the ball in the second half, he'd win the game on his own. And that's exactly what happened. But it was a good overall performance by a Drumcolour Broadford team, that had a very checkered passage through the competition, if I may say so. And you and I were just speaking off air. They were beaten originally in the semi-final, and I think there was an objection, or there was something found awry with Kappa Rakil, and it was replayed, and they won the replay. And the reason they probably won the replay was the first day they were out, they were totally devoid of match practice, because they were in a group in the B Championship where there was no game played. No game. They got a walkover in all the games. It was all walkovers in that particular group. So Drum Bradford came into the competition cold. And I just wonder, had they 4 or 5 games in the competition, how they would have benefited as a team. Because I saw it firsthand in the final how they benefited, but it raises those questions that you and I have been discussing, Tom, ad nauseum, about these kind of structures that lend themselves to so many walkovers. And there over the last week, there has been meetings of clubs. I think the City West were in one group. The South East were meeting in Bulgadin as late as last night, I think. And I think the night before, was it... no, it was Tuesday night, to discuss all this. And I just wonder, I'm waiting with bated breath to see what will emanate out of it. Because the structures that we have in the under-21B football championship, and the A isn't much better, Tom. The A isn't much better with walkovers. The competition is not, they're not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
They're not fit for purpose. Like, I cannot understand. Like, clubs have got to get hold of themselves here. And I'll be talking about clubs getting hold of themselves later. They've got to get hold of themselves here. Entering teams just for the sake of entering teams. I'm just wondering, is there an insurance charge for entering teams?
Yeah,
You know,
wouldn't be privy to that now, but yeah, you'd wonder what's the
you'd wonder, because I'd imagine if you were forking out around 1,000 quid for insurance for a team, you'd have second thoughts. You'd make sure that you had the numbers to make it up, and certainly if you paid it, you'd make sure that if there was a game, you would have turned up. Now, I challenged the club member about it that was involved, and told me he got a commitment from mainly the hurlers that they'd all turn out for the football, and when the day came, there was only 5 of them turned out. So, you know, that goes back to the old hot chestnut, like about you know, how football and how hurling is perceived in this county, you know. But we don't want to go down that road. But the road we want to go down is, Tom, that what the carry on that was in the championship, and this is going back 2 or 3 years now. This carry on, where you have a plethora of walkovers, it has to stop. You know, and like, if we think that this is an illness that's in the under-21 championship, forget it. Like, we've seen walkovers, and we've seen teams putting out the intermediate football championship over the last 2 years. You're probably sick. I see you're bored, Tom, but you're probably sick and tired of listening to me talking about it. But I'm going to keep talking about it until something is done about it and somebody listens. Yeah,
it's a cancer is probably a strong word, but it's not good. It doesn't look good for anyone involved, for the teams giving the walkovers, for the teams getting the walkovers, for the competition itself. I mean, like, Drumbraadford now have won the competition by winning 2 games, and I'm not going to deny them their moment of glory. Look, they're a small club in their own right, but they've only got to play 2 games. They're probably training for 2 months, and they got to play 2 games, which were in less than 6 days, maybe, I think. Probably the 22nd and the 28th or something like that. Yeah. You know, it's not good. They should have at least had it the month of December, where they kicked the ball 5 times or whatever it was. And
I agree with you totally, and right. I just wonder. I came away that day wondering, you know, what kind of a team Drumbraadford would have had they 4 or 5 games. I would say they would have a fine team.
Yeah,
considering what I saw from them in after 3 games. Now, they put it up to them, particularly in the first half. Really, they cut open the Drumbraadford defence and got 3 good goals, and were worthy. They were 5 points up at half time.
Yeah,
and of course, it called you turn over with the breeze. The breeze never wins you a game, but it calls for patience. And, you know, they incrementally they dismantled them, the lead, and then Brian Ahern got a goal, great goal with his left foot, and you know, that was that.
Yeah. Just one last point on that match, right, before we look at the A final, which I'd say you're dreading to talk about. But Brian Ahern, 1-10 from play. I can't think of too many occasions in either code, but particularly in football, where someone has kicked double digits scores from play, whether it be 3-7 or 4-6 or 10 points or 11. Like, I can't think of many times this has happened at any grade in Limerick football, or even many other counties. It just doesn't happen. Like, you know,
no, any level of admission money was worth going in to see to see his performance. He is just he's the real deal.
Yeah, and why?
And I'm looking forward to seeing him hopefully involved with Limerick in the league.
Yeah, and intermediate with his own club as well later in 2024.
Absolutely. A big boost for Drum now, who've lost the last 2 finals, and like they've other good players, and so have a hand. Like Robbie Lynch, I thought was very, very, very good, but you know, is he going to give his commitment to soccer? I don't know.
Yeah, looks to be.
He was a centre half back. He was very, very good. He, particularly in the second half, he just tightened the whole defence together. You know. Good, strong lad as well. You know, he's Ray's son, who has more county medals than he can count nearly, you know.
That's it, yeah. And just to say about the reason I bring up about someone scoring double-digit scores, people will out there say it was only the B final, but I tell you, it doesn't happen at any grade. It doesn't happen at Junior B, Junior A, any grade.
I get the sense that this fella will do this in any company.
Yeah.
He's such a tight... This fella's worth seeing, Tom.
Yeah, let's hope I get to see him anyway, and
Yeah.
more besides across the county as we looking
You
up
know,
the
and
grades.
you can dismiss it and say like that tis under 21B and all this sort of thing, but he has qualities, and like these qualities have been flagged before he went to America.
Yeah,
but he has lost none of them there. If anything, they've been enhanced.
That's it. Yeah, his physical attributes, I'm sure, have gotten better. The under 21A match, the worst way match for the year to end for you, I think, was to see your own club, Ballylanders, beaten on penalties. I can tell you, there's probably no worse way for it to end for you, Matt. You don't like penalty shootouts. You don't agree with them. That's fair enough. But then to see your own neighbours and your own club mates beaten by Ula, and obviously congratulations to Ula, who, you know, held their nerve and forced the game beyond the 60 and indeed beyond the 80 minutes. So tell me about this game. How did this go down?
Well, sure, look, it was... Look, I described it as a classic game of football. I was even speaking with Josh Rhino, who was one of the main mentors with Ula. I was speaking to him in we were just talking about it over a cup of tea last Saturday in McNeville Park, you know, and we both agreed like that it was a tremendous game of football for the time of year. And it going to penalties was no surprise for the simple reason that there was nothing between them. And there wasn't anything between them throughout the game. Like, I think the most that any team went ahead was 2 points. You know, it was nip and tuck right through. Now, it was Bally, I think, that levelled. It was actually, I think, Fergal O'Connor that levelled for the first at the end of normal time.
Right.
Fergal, who was outstanding, I understand, in Clarecastle on Saturday, on Wednesday evening. I think I'm just trying to think back now. There's been so much has happened since. But look, it went to penalties anyway. Ballylanders scored the first 2 penalties, failed to score after that. Ula missed the first 2 penalties and failed to miss after that. So Ula won it 3-2. First time that they've taken the championship to Ula for the first time since 1991. It's the 3rd time in 4 years that Ballylanders have been beaten in the county final. They were beaten by Drumbradford in the B final in 2019, lost the 2022 final to Ballysteen, and now have lost the 2023 final to Ula. But it was good to see the 2 teams in the final because, you know, at senior level, you know, they've gone a small bit, you know, they've fallen off the cliff a small bit, as you know, that they have been there in the lower reaches of the tables in the senior football championship over the last 2 years. Bally have had to undergo 2 relegation playoffs in the last couple of years. So it's nice to see that those clubs have players coming through. Keane O'Donovan was the captain. Dara's younger brother was the captain of Ula. He had a fine game. Eddie Stokes, who we were talking a lot about during the year in the context of Doon and the hurling, also had a fine game, got a goal. And look, I went away very, very disappointed. Disappointed, first of all, that Bally lost. Disappointed that it was decided on penalties. But with no little consolation that we witnessed a very good game of football. Yeah. And it was 2 teams in similar positions, you know, crying out for a bit of silverware. And on the day, I suppose, you know, the honours went to Ula.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, congratulations to Keane and his comrades there in, I suppose, Doon and Ula. Obviously, Ula in the football, but pulling plenty of players from the Doon area as well.
Just another point on it, Tom. Yeah. The man of the match was Kevin Maher.
Yeah.
Who was outstanding at midfield. Kevin Maher, of course, who we know from the Doon hurling team.
Yeah, very prominent season just gone. Yeah.
He has been making an impact on the Doon hurling team almost for 2 years now. Big, strong man. He was very, very good in the football final. And I suppose, you know, I'm being really parochial here now because he just lives about a mile up the road from me. But Shane O'Donoghue, he was outstanding for Ballylanders. I don't think he deserved to be on a losing team, you know. That is what it is, you know.
Yeah, a serious operator, I think it's fair to say about Shane. And Commiserations to him. But Matt, the top tier, once again, Mungret St. Paul's are bringing home silver. I tell you, Matt, in the history of that club, however long that club continues for, 2023 will not be forgotten. Just before Christmas, obviously they won the hurling, and now they win the football. I mean, like, someone will have to put the brakes on them this year, will they?
It was really, and I've said this before, maybe in this meeting, but it was really, really put into context for me with the passing of the late John O'Grady, the former referee, who was as Mungret as they come.
Yes.
But when John was minor, there was no teams in Mungret. He had to play minor hurling with Young Irelands, and he had to play minor football with commercials. That'll give you a sense of where Mungret have come since. But by any benchmark, intermediate champions, double junior A champions, double Premier under-21 champions.
Yeah.
You couldn't write for it,
Promoted in the senior hurling.
In senior hurling.
Got to they got to the Junior C final in hurling as well, lost that. But that'll tell you that across the grades, and there's underage titles in there that, I don't have to hand now, but there was other, they were collecting left, right, and centre. It's not just one group or one team that has done it. It has been all across the board. They're all, they're all going in the one direction. They're all
going in the one direction. But I've said this before, and I will say it again. It is down to the amount of work that's being done on the ground.
Yeah.
There's an open door policy there, open for everybody of all levels, and like the amount of work that's being put in and the structure that's put in that club. And it is it's no surprise that they were the first club in Limerick to embrace the one club motto.
Yeah.
And put it in place. And like, I hear people saying, sure, Mungret will win, Mungret this and Mungret that and Mungret the other thing. I say, stop. Well done to Mungret, because it's the result. I had it in Kilmallock as late as Wednesday at the Hearty Cup. Mungret, the blah, blah, blah with the begrudgers. And, I say, look, this is down to hard work. It's the product of hard work.
Yeah.
And nothing else. It's the product of good structures within the club, good structures at administrative level, good structures at coaching level. And there's something for everybody, right? For the last 4 or 5 years at underage level, they've been fielding 2 teams at underage in most competitions.
Yeah. They're often in Division 1 and Division 3.
There is no player going to fall out for the one to being looked at or for the one to get in games.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. They'll enter into Division 1 of the under-16 and they'll enter a team maybe into Division 3.
Yeah. And they play all their games.
It seems to be working. And above all, Tom, even with the 2 games, they don't give walkovers.
I was going to say they field in every team. And I think one of their teams, their second underage teams this year was, we'll say propping up one of the groups. Maybe it was under 15 hurling. I stand to be corrected on that team. They were struggling for results, but yet I looked at the results and they fielded every single time. They went, south, east, west, wherever they had to go, they played the games and they developed from there. And the other point I'd like to make on Mungret, and look, we meet people from all clubs, Matt, on our travels and at the sidelines of games. They have allowed players to play both codes as well. There is no, we're a hurling club or a football club. They've decided if a fella wants to play senior hurling and senior football and he's good enough, he can. If he wants to play senior hurling and junior football and he's picked, he can do it. There's no, we're just focusing on hurling or we're just focusing on football. Because someone will say to you, are they a hurling club or a football club? Well, I'd say they're a GA club or they're pushed both codes equally. And you can see that from an interview with Brian Begley. I was speaking to him after the 21s final, and he did the same when they won promotion in the senior hurling. He referenced the football, and the football have referenced him in how they dovetail, how they organise training, how they look after the players. It's not, they're not fight. They obviously realised we're all playing for the crest, the Mungret Abbey, I think it was, which is their crest. They're all playing for that crest, that parish, and they're all rowing in the same direction. There's no, they're all going. It's simple. I think other clubs should look at that and say, happy players who are allowed to play both codes and get stuck into this will definitely bear the fruit of it. Not every player will do that, but some enjoy playing both codes, and I tell you, they'll be the better for it.
I asked the very same question at the press evening for the Intermediate Football Championship of Kevin O'Hagan. I asked him as a direct question about juggling between hurling and football commitments, and I got a similar answer to what you were saying there. It seems to me to be totally seamless.
Yeah,
absolutely seamless. And I hear people saying, it's fine for Mungret, they have the numbers. I know clubs that have the numbers, but they're nearly junior B.
Yeah.
They won't get off their backsides and harness them.
Yeah, and there's clubs outside of Limerick as well who would have numbers and should be, in the same position, but they're not, because they haven't, as you mentioned the word structures there, they haven't done it. But this game anyway, Matt.
It's beginning to annoy me that type of thing towards Mungret. Mungret have the array of silverware they have for a reason, which I have outlined.
Absolutely, yeah. And the game itself was one, we must give him his due. Billy Molyneux kicked the winning score in another game that went extra time, a bit like the A final, as we mentioned, had to go to extra time, and Billy Molyneux kicked the winning score 1-6 to 8 points. And obviously, commiserations to Father Casey's, who are
absolutely commiserations to him.
They're perennially thereabouts in the, I suppose, minor and 21 grade. They're always in the last four, it seems. Year on year, and they've continued to turn out quality players. It's fair to say.
I honestly think that where Father Casey's, to make a breakthrough, I'm wondering all the time, when are they going to finally get it right at senior? I thought last year was the year they seemed to be, and they got over the hump of winning a knockout game, and so disappointing in the semi-final against the Dare. Last year, 2022 I'm talking about now. Last year it's just gone by. Lost the semi-final again this year. The breakthrough has to come, and you hope now that should be sooner or later, because Mungret are going up now senior this year in the Senior Football Championship. The Senior Football Championship needs an injection, Tom, of new blood. And it's in many ways, the Senior Football Championship is mirroring the Senior Hurling Championship, in that we're having the same four teams in the last four every year. Now, it has happened this year again that we've had not only the same last four, but the same semi-final pairings.
Yeah.
But I would be hoping that Mungret, will inject something new to it, like Kildimo Palace Kenry did. And let's hope that the momentum, I think Kildimo Palace Kenry have got over a hump, because the second year syndrome is always very difficult. The cat is out of the bag. But they did extremely well in the second year. And you'll be looking to them now. I understand that they may be losing one or two key players to immigration, which won't help. But you would like to see him continuing on the upward trajectory. And certainly, I would be hoping that Mungret St. Paul's will come in and take the Senior Football Championship by storm. It needs it, Tom.
It does, yeah.
It needs it.
It would be good to have someone,
and you can look. It's not because this Mungret St. Paul's. You can call them anything. You can call them anything, but it needs an injection of something new that will come in and light up that championship, ignite it.
Yeah, definitely. No, and look, we've been at a lot of group games in the last few years, and there hasn't been too many standout, memorable games, because it's much the same. And look, we won't dress it up. I told someone before that in the 2022 season, I was at a game in every round, from round 1 through to 6. I was at least one game in every round. And I tell you, I would have struggled to recall much of the detail. And it's not because I'm losing my memory. It's just that nothing really stood out. There was no game that really jumped off the page that I was at. Now maybe I was just a bit unlucky with game selection, but it just didn't ignite. And hopefully Mungret will throw the cat amongst the pigeons in that regard in the senior championship for next year. So we shall move things along now, Matt, to intercounty football. That is, you were in McNeville Park last Saturday, the McGrath Cup opener, Limerick and Kerry. A mismatch. We probably would have suspected that before the game, but maybe not to this margin. But Jimmy Lee's first day out, and a lot of other players' first day out as well. A lot of new faces, a lot of guys we've seen prominent in senior clubs, but hadn't done the green in Limerick at senior level. So, your thoughts on how things went in Rathkeale? Obviously, the result was speaks for itself in one regard, but what did we get out of this day from a Limerick point of view?
Oh, you would probably have to say very little, if you're being brutally honest. And just to put it into context, Jimmy Lee has taken over. It was his first game in charge. He was down 17 from the panel that finished in the championship last year. That is a lot of gaps to fill. And like you talk of trying to fill the gaps of Cian Sheehan, Brian Fanning, Adrian Enright, Brian O'Donovan, Mike Donovan, Gordon Brown, all top-class players. The list goes on, and to compound the whole lot of it, Ian Corbett cried off before the game. He was sick, and he I think there's 6 newcomers that were in from the start. There was 3 Kerry men took part in the game overall. Like you had Dara and Taig Shukru. Dara started, Taig Shukru and Daniel Daly came on. Now they had transferred to Monaleen and to Limerick at the start of the year from their respective clubs in Kerry. But I just couldn't get over for so early in the season the intensity and the seriousness which Kerry took this competition. They started with 6 of the All-Ireland team that lost to Dublin, and they brought on 5 from the bench during the course of the game. They were also involved. So you had 11 of those that were involved in the All-Ireland final last year that played a part now. Kerry made 9 subs at half-time, at which stage they were 5-6, I think, to 5 points up or something like that. And, Shawnee Shea played the first half, got a couple of goals, couple of points. You just wonder, you say to yourself, you take Shawnee Shea, what has he got to prove in the McGrath Cup?
Yeah, what can he learn from it? At
this time of the year, but I suppose Jack O'Connor has his own ways, and we were wondering at that stage when we saw Sean O'Shea, is the next thing we'll see David Clifford,
That was 2 years ago, yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Kerry, we're here to talk about Limerick. It was a baptism of fire for Jimmy, and he understood that, and he was quite philosophical about it afterwards. And he did make the point, and we've heard John Kiley making this point on a number of occasions over the years about targeting for one particular game, and usually John Kiley's target is the first round of the championship. We've heard him about that umpteen times, and it has worked. Now, Jimmy Lee was adamant that as far as he was concerned, he was building up to the visit of Antrim on the 28th, which is the opening round of the Alliance Football League. And now it'll be very interesting to see what sort of a team that he will name going up to Temple Tuohy on Sunday, because you like Peter Nash who was out injured. I think Colin McSweeney was out injured. Ian Corbett was out sick, and you just wonder, will these guys come back? And if they do, they will certainly strengthen it. And the important thing about playing Tipperary, and Jimmy made the point afterwards, that you're playing one of the best 2 teams in the country. At least when they'll play Tipperary, they will be able to benchmark better where they are, because they will be playing a team of in or about their own level. All right, Tipperary are in Division 4.
Yeah.
And if you go by that metric, Limerick should be beating Tipperary. but it doesn't always work out like that. But the basic principle doesn't change, Tom. In that, you know, you're playing a team of your own level, and tis then Limerick will get an opportunity to benchmark. Now, it's 2 years ago, in the first round of the McGrath Cup, Limerick got a hocking below on Tralee from Kerry and came back in round 2 and beat Tipperary. So you'll be hoping maybe that something similar will happen.
I have a feeling.
But I would be worried. What would worry me, Tom, going forward, is the number of key players, which I mentioned at the outset, that we're not going to see this year. Now, there was up to 8 or 9 players injured. There's the like of Peter Nash, Colin McSweeney, and then the like of those that hope for Ian Corbett. You know, hopefully that they will be back. And this is the last opportunity. You know, this is the last edition for players to put their hands up for a place for when Antrim come down in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. It is indeed. Yeah, I'd say they'll probably squeeze in one more challenge match, but realistically, this could be the chance. And a bit like the hurlers, it's an audition for players to stake a claim for, you know, whether they want to be in the 36 or the 26 or the 15. Obviously, each player will have their own desires and their own wishes for that. But it will be a much changed Limerick panel this year. And I'm at, I think mid-table in Division 3 is, you know, not to be too pessimistic. I think that's the realistic aim. That's probably where Limerick need to find themselves come the end of the spring, because there's no good being relegated again. That won't do anyone any favours. And it's certainly no use if they could somehow, I think it would be a fair achievement to actually get out of the division again and go up. That wouldn't be any good. I think the Limerick need to stay in Division 3 for a year or two and try and rebuild the squad, because there's been a lot of experience lost in the names you mentioned there.
No, but on the converse side of it, then you had the return of the Childs brothers.
Yeah.
Rob played most of the game. Tom came on after half time. And you the return of I thought who had a very, very good game was Tommy Griffin.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy's a very good footballer, and it was nice to see him back on board, you know, and it's not all negative, but it's a question of getting the blend together before you face Antrim. And as you rightly said, I think mid-table in Division 3 would be a realistic target. And I always maintained, you know, through last year, all right, the vagaries and the randomness of the schedule went against them when they had to go to Derry and then face Dublin in round 2 in Division 2. I felt all the time that an additional year in Division 3 would have done them a power of good, because I think that last year, when Limerick were in Division 2, the transition from struggling in Division 4 to Division 2 football was a huge step in too short a time.
Yeah.
I thought an extra year in Division 3 would have done him a power of good. But it is what it is, and I think you're right. You know, if they could aim for mid-table, but that, you know, aiming for mid-table, Tom, is going to heighten the importance of winning your home games.
Yeah.
All of which I understand are going to be in McNeville Park this year.
Yeah, certainly at the moment anyway, that's where they're penciled in for. Yeah, I suppose, and to add to that, it's very hard to aim for mid-table and something, but I think Limerick need to be competitive in all 7 games and need to show, you know, get that confidence back again that they're competitive. And you must remember with the Division 2 campaign, and not to be making excuses, you mentioned the two front-loaded games against Derry and Dublin, and I think the confidence was on the floor after those, and I think they went to Cork then and got a hockey in as well. But it's very rare that you'd end up with 2 provincial champions in Division 2 and probably 2 of the top 4 or 5 teams in Division 2 with you, and you have them up first and second. It didn't lend itself well, and obviously then things with Ray Dempsey as the manager weren't really working, so they were on the back foot from the word go, and hopefully now Jimmy will obviously get some success this Sunday against Tipperary, and then they will be able to attack that Antrim game as is his desire and as is his wish. You know, I think,
you're right. You would be hoping for an early lift off on Sunday.
Yeah. To give the a bit of belief into the team that what we're doing in training and what we're working on is worth it and is working. So I think a positive result, while not paramount, could certainly be a big help for Limerick. So that's in Temple on Sunday, the McGrath Cup. A bit of dead rubber on paper, but an important game in the build-up to the Alliance Division 3 campaign. Matt, Sigerson earlier this week, UL were victors over the names of these colleges now. They seem to have changed a lot. It's ATU.
It's a tongue twister, Tom. They were victors over ATU Donegal, which translate into Atlantic Technical University of Donegal.
There you have it. Yeah, brilliant.
That's your free lesson now for today.
Top marks, Matt. I must give you that. And that was played at the Connacht COE, which is Centre of Excellence, i.e. the Dome in Connacht. So that's where that was played. UL have been thereabouts in the Sigerson, and look, the result, the losers of these games get a second chance, but UL obviously win and progress to the next round with allowing themselves a bit of a breather before the next round. So good start.
It was nice, Tom, actually, to see that Elia Reardon was starting for UL.
Yeah.
Very, very promising footballer, and I suppose had the disappointment of losing the county premier final to Mungret St. Paul's. But it was very, very nice to see him. And we've a couple of more on that panel, like we've John Hayes.
St. Kieran's, yeah.
From St. Kieran's.
Yeah. Where was Eli playing for UL, or where was he selected anyway?
Wing back.
Wing back, yeah, from what you saw, yeah. Okay. So that's it's a very fair achievement to play at Sigerson and particularly in UL, given the quality that they've had flooding through in the last few years, So I'm sure he'll be hoping to hold on to that jersey for the duration of their involvement. So we shall see. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think very few people would begrudge it to Declan Brother and his team if they were to advance and win the Sigerson Cup this year, because I was looking at my old school the other night, the champions, UCC, and they were well beaten by UU from formerly UUJ. It's now Ulster University. It used to be Ulster University of Jordanstown, but they were well beaten in Abbottstown, and talking to some people since, I saw the game on television, but they were saying they were beaten in the first round by UL last year and came back and won it. I don't think it's going to happen this year, from what I saw.
Yeah, we'll see. It's
disappointed. I don't think UCC are as strong, but they may prove me wrong.
Yeah, they do get a second bite. So the first round losers will play off against each other for a place in the next round against. Yeah,
it's complex and enough in that the first round winners play off against each other. The first round losers play off each other. The losers of when the winners play off. What way will I put this now?
Well, right. The winners keep going anyway.
We have four games in the winners, right?
Yeah. So we'll have four teams who will have won back-to-back games.
The four winners will proceed to the quarter-final.
Yeah.
The four losers will play the four winners of the four games for the losers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you lose twice, you're out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
But everybody gets two chances. A good system.
Yeah, so the teams that win back-to-back games, such as potentially UL, will be in a quarter-final, and teams like UCC, who've lost the first round, will look to win against a fellow loser in the second round, and if they do so, will get to play a team who has won their first round and then lost their second round, and then when they play, then they will be into the quarterfinals. So effectively, so that will be another day out. But if you followed all that, we'll fair play to you. But we'll see how it progresses.
You were going to have a slip at the tongue there, Tom, when UCC lose their two games.
No. We wouldn't. We won't. We'll cross that bridge if it comes. But anyway, no, we'll see later in the month for the next round of that, or even as early as next week. But we haven't forgotten the Fitzgibbon, but we'll discuss that next week because it begins in earnest next week with obviously three third level institutions in Limerick heavily involved, and we'll get across the Limerick involvement in those and across any other teams as well on next week's episode. So stay tuned for that. Matt, we will stay on the big ball, but we'll swap over to ladies football. Division 4 league opener comes to us 2 p.m. This Sunday in Quaid Park. Limerick at home to Wicklow, familiar, I suppose, opposition in Division 4 and indeed in the Junior Championship. Wicklow, they've been floating around there for a few years. The new management team have named Roisin Brown and Grace Monaleen in their 15. They're the two new faces. Matt, we mentioned before Christmas, Limerick have, is it 6 home games and 1 away?
Six. They're away to Leitrim in round 5. Yeah. And they're home in the other 6 games now. It's not an ideal situation because you'll be, let's hope we'll be in Division 3 next year, by the way. But if you're not, in worst case scenario, you have all those games away next year. Yeah,
and it's just for anyone that's saying, how does that happen? And I think we explained it before. It's effectively the last time you played the team in that competition, i.e. the league. You home away. It's regardless. It could have been 20 years ago or it could have been 6 months ago. You return the fixture regardless. So it just so happens.
Limerick had they would have 3 or 4 games last year. First of all, let's say about the structure of the competition is that Division 4 is brought in line with the other 3 divisions.
Yeah, full divisions.
In heretofore, you had the 3 divisions of 8, and you had the Division 4, which was divided into 2 groups, with the top 2 in each group going through to the semi-finals. Now, the format this year is that all 4 divisions have 8 teams and are a full round robin. The top 2 in divisions 1, 2, and 3 will meet in the respective finals. The top 4 in Division 4 will go into the semi-finals and the final.
That's where they get their extra game, basically. Yeah,
there's quite a bit of a difference from the structure of last year, and like Limerick kick off next week at our next Sunday in Cooley Roo, which is an ideal venue in the centre of the county, by the way, in Quaid Park. They kick off against Wicklow. Now, Wicklow, they failed to qualify out of the group last year. They finished 3rd. Limerick last year in the first round, they beat Kilkenny in I don't know what venue it was in Kilkenny. It wasn't Nolan Park anyway, but it escapes me at the moment. But then they went to Wicklow, to Baltinglass, and they beat Wicklow 3-6 to 8 points. So that ensured that they were a semi-finalist. But just to put it into context, when you move on to the championship, Wicklow were playing intermediate championship, Limerick were playing junior championship. And as we well know now, Limerick reached the All-Ireland Junior final. Wicklow in their group, they suffered heavy defeats to Tyrone and Clare, but dug out a win against Offaly in the final round, which staved off relegation to division to junior football.
Yeah.
So that will give you a context as to where the teams were at last year. Now, we've seen the Limerick team. We have a new management team. We've seen the Limerick team. There is very little change apart from, we'd say, Joanne Maguire has returned. I'm sure that she played before with Limerick. Maybe I might be subject to correction in that. But we definitely have 2 new debutants in Roisin Brown and Grace Monaleen. And of course, a notable absentee is the Munster Ladies Footballer of the Year, Roisin Ambrose, who we understand is carrying a knock at the moment. And we and in her absence, she's been named as joint captain with Yvonne Lee. So Yvonne Lee will captain the team in Cooley Row on Sunday. But it's a strong team. Looking through it, it's a strong team. Cathy Mee, there was doubts would she continue for this year. She certainly is, and she's named in there at midfield. I think she's named at midfield with Grace Lee, actually.
Grace Lee is at wing back. Cathy Mee and Grace Monaleen. Grace
Oh,
Milan.
sorry, it's Grace Milan. It's Grace Milan,
yeah.
It's Grace
Grace
Milan.
is at 7,
And
Grace Milan
you've
9.
Karen O'Leary is in, and Debbie Murphy is wing back. Karen O'Leary is in the forwards, at right half forward. Now we've Quiva McGrath, who was showing pretty well at the end of last year from Father Casey's. She's in at full forward. And Andrea O'Sullivan, Leisha Brown, who's a very, very good player, and really didn't get much of an opportunity last year for some reason. She's in, and as is Iris Kennelly. And we know what Iris Kennelly can do on a day, you know. So it looks a strong team. It looks a very strong team. So we're just hoping, you know, Leah Coughlin, she's got plenty of experience as well. So we're just hoping Ellie Wolfe is going in at centre back. Laura Walsh, for some reason, isn't on the panel this year. So I'd be very hopeful that you know, that they can pull off a win in the opening round. And, you know, it's followed up by what on paper at least look very winnable games against Derry and Kilkenny. So you just hope like that, you know, if you could be sitting on 9 points at the end of 3 games, like you would almost have sealed a semi-final spot. But I don't think Mike Quilligan and Sean Kiley will be too satisfied with that. They will be expecting more, and like they appear to have the squad. You know, now there are a whole raft of newcomers on the bench. If you look down through them, Tom, the like of Quiva McNamara, Erin Murphy,
Eilish Kiley is there,
yeah, you know, there's so we, you know, let's hope.
Yeah,
definitely. There is 13 of the players that were involved in the starting the All-Ireland final last year that are still involved. Laura Walsh and Amy Ryan being the exceptions.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the game, Tom. I'm going to the game on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to Limerick getting off to a bright start. Like Mike Quilligan knows now there's quite an amount of Monaghan players, including 5 in defence. Yvonne Lee is at fullback, and Roisin Brown is cornerback, and the entire half-back line is Monaghan of Debbie Murphy, Ellie Wolfe, and Grace Lee. So he knows his players, and you know, we see how close they came to Glanmire last year. So I'd be hoping for a good result, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. And I just to touch on the format, obviously, with the top 4 getting through, there is room for error here. Now, of course, no one wants to go out and lose a game, but it probably lends itself then, hopefully, to, you know, using the panel and seeing what some of these players are capable of at this level. That hopefully, if the results, as you know, starting this weekend, following up with Derry and Kilkenny, 3 early wins might see. I'm not saying rotate the squad, but they might start to look at other options, because that's what it's about, Matt. I mean, in the All-Ireland final, Down used their bench to perfection, and that was, you know, probably the difference on the day. You know, their bench really made the impact, and I actually was in the media room after, with the Down players and management, and the players who had. Now it's easy to say when you win, but they were happy. They were happy to be subs because they'd been told this is their role, and they knew they could impact the game, and so it was. So that's what Limerick are probably looking at as well, and hopefully that will be beyond 15. We'll be looking at 25 players that are able for this level, and hopefully more. You know, so hopefully the spring will be a springboard for success in the championship as well, and maybe promotion in the league might be the best thing for Limerick as well going forward, to be playing at a higher standard year round. You know, so hopefully, yeah, we shall see. So 2 p.m. on Sunday in Quay Park for that one. Matt, just switching across to camogie, we have minor camogie on Saturday afternoon, a Munster preliminary minor game.
I think it's Sunday afternoon, Tom, is it?
Sunday, yeah. Limerick and Clare, I'll just double check that I had it to hand here a second ago. Limerick and Clare, anyway, meeting in the minor. We no team to hand. Sorry, this Sunday, I correct myself there. Sunday at 1:30. Cappamore, yeah. Note to switch of venue there. Anyone who originally thought it was in, I think it was originally set for Kilmallock, but Cappamore now the venue. Matt, the minor camogie team, what do we know? We don't have a team to hand just at the moment when we're speaking, so we're probably just kind of basing it off on last season's form a bit.
Yeah, the answer, Tom, is we know very little. But we'll say Paul Neenan and Tony Dunn lead the management team. They did an exceptional job last year in taking Limerick to the All-Ireland A Shield final where they were beaten by Antrim.
Yeah.
But they played Clare twice. I was at both games. They played them in the group stages in Kilmallock and won it, just dug it out. And they also dug it out when they played Clare in the All-Ireland semi-final, and it was played in Clonmel, and were worthy winners both days. And, it was, I thought they had a fine team last year, and, it was disappointing that they came up against an exceptional Antrim team in the final. Like, the preparatory work that was done by Paul Neenan and Tony Dunn and the management team was absolutely second to none, Tom. There was no stone left unturned in preparing them, and from a fitness point of view, from a coaching point of view, they did a fabulous job. Now, I don't know what players from last year are still eligible this year. This is why we're speaking to a certain degree in a vacuum. And I would be more intelligibly able to discuss it if I saw who's who from last year. Now I'm hearing of a couple of who's, but I'm not that are still around. And the few names that I heard certainly excite me. Yeah,
that augurs well. And look, the same management are there, and they were probably looking at a 2-year cycle as minor teams do now, and they probably had a handful of under 17s. I think minor camogie is still under 18, differentiates from their male counterparts.
There were a handful too, Tom, of under 16s. You must remember we won a historic first ever under 16A final, Munster under 16A final last year.
Yeah, so some of those I'm sure are definitely capable of stepping up. So I guess we'll have a little bit more detail as the days go on, and maybe by next week's podcast
we will hope that we'll exist in the minor camogie team tonight. I'd be hoping. Yeah. It would be the normal routine.
Yeah, that's it. They're probably just putting the final touches together before we reveal that. But Sunday, 1:30 p.m. in Cappamore. It'd be encouraging to get out and support either the ladies footballers or indeed the minor camogie teams on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully the weather will lend itself to high spectator numbers in those two games. Matt, anything else through the chair? I think we've covered a lot of the on-field stuff this week.
No, just one point. Owen Cormacan, who you know is our colleague there in the Irish Examiner, he has been posting today that the media are no longer going to be allowed access to Cork County Board, which I think is an absolute retrograde step. And I certainly hope that other counties, especially our own, haven't any designs in doing the same. Now, I put my hands up and I confess I'm not a great attender at county board meetings as a reporter, and because I got frustrated, Tom, the few meetings that I attended, and when I saw things getting through officers of the county board not being held to account, but I think this is a hugely retrograde step. Now, you were telling me off air that you thought that it was brought in another county last year.
Well, I remember, I can't remember the year, maybe it was before last year. I remember, if anyone's familiar with the journalist Owen Sheehan with Off the Ball, I remember he went to a Mayo County Board meeting for something, and look, I don't think he was up to mischievous. He was actually looking for answers to, I can't remember what the queries were, but he was more or less told, get out, and he had travelled, I'm pretty sure, from Dublin to be there. I can't remember what the issue was, and I won't speculate on that, but it was basically, you're not welcome here and you're not wanted. And I suppose people might say we're biased towards the media as we're people who work in it. And I suppose I saw a comment online that sums it up, that what I would say means that the media should be allowed within reason. Like, I mean, there's always cases where, people overstep the mark, and in that case, then maybe it needs to be reviewed. But I don't see that this has happened here in Cork, and I don't think it's happened in Limerick. But a comment I saw online this Friday afternoon was, if a club delegate or indeed a county board officer isn't willing to say it in public in front of the media, well, should they be saying it at all?
Yeah.
I mean,
should
is that
they be
the
there
issue
at
here?
all is the question.
Sorry?
Yeah, the question is there.
Sorry, your line has just gone there slightly. Say that to me again, Matt.
I'm saying, should they be there at all if they haven't the guts to say it?
Yeah, that's it. Should an officer,
know-
if he's, if I'm in the corner taking notes, should that preclude someone from tackling an issue?
Cork
I don't think it should.
Cork is very geographically near to us, and I hope it doesn't spread to this county, that the contagion doesn't come in this direction, let it go in any other direction. You know, but I think this is a sad day, and I've been appealing to the clubs, like all their powers are gradually being eroded by stealth, coordinated from headquarters, because the old principle of subsidiarity from the bottom up, that you make this, you initiate change at the very bottom level, that's finished. Because if you send a motion now to county board and by chance it gets through and goes to Congress, lo and behold, there's an unelected body there to ensure that it's thrown out. And like, it's time, and I've been saying this now, and Jack just grigged me about this, because he knew how to get me going and upset me. But this thing, the clubs have got to claim back our association from unelected people. They've got to do it at all levels, Tom. The next thing is we will have no elections at county board. We have an appointed secretary, we have an appointed development officer, we have an appointed children's officer, which I have no difficulty about that.
Yeah.
For the latter, because that is a questionable of suitability, and we have an excellent children's officer in Limerick.
Yeah.
But how many more of these positions? I can see the treasurer's position being ripe for that kind of a takeover.
To bring a professional in, as it were.
Can the clubs not see what's happening? Can they not see what's happening? The founders of our great association must be turning in their graves to see this kind of thing, this latest development.
I was only ever at a couple of county board meetings, I'll admit. I've never been in. I know yourself obviously served your club in different roles down the years, and you would have attended in that, guys, and obviously would be kind of a bit longer on the media beat yourself. But I was at a few county board meetings, and the one thing I found for them is that there was a real lack of energy from those in attendance. Now maybe they were worn down, but one of the ones I was at, it was John Kiley's re-election in the end of 2019. Not re-election, proposal to have John Kiley back in as manager at the end of 2019, and the management team and the rest of it. And it was effectively, the meeting was over in a matter of minutes. I would imagine a lot of people had travelled from your side of the county to the woodlands in Adair from the west, and the meeting was over, I would think, in about 9 or 10 minutes. And I do remember, Jerome O'Connell of the Limerick Leader, someone we frequented on the sideline many times. I remember he used to often be at them. Every month he used to attend them, I think, from his professional capacity. And often he would be tweeting that, March's county board meeting is over in a matter of 8 minutes or 14 minutes or, 21 minutes, no questions asked on X, Y, or Z. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. That's my memory of, of Jerome's, passing on information to the public, putting it up online or whatever. And it was a matter of minutes. The clubs, are they ticking boxes by attending them? And I'm not having to go at them, but, do they feel that whatever they're going to say is not going to make a difference, and they just want to, get in and get out and get that job out of the way?
Tom, I've seen it from both sides. I was a delegate for many years for Glenroe, and I know I was in the nuisance pigeonhole as far as they were concerned. But it was a monthly opportunity to debate everything.
Yeah.
And in those days, there was nothing going through in the nod. Nodding Muppets weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Everybody was having their say, and we questioned everything. And that's why I find it very, very hard to comprehend where we have moved to. Can the clubs not see it, what's happening? Clubs have made huge investment in their clubs. They've made huge investment in their facilities. Tom, as far as the playing of games, which is the primary purpose of our association, you have no say.
Yeah, it's just put down upon them, is it, that these are the competitions and this is it? Yeah, I've yet to see or hear clubs, looking to rip up the script on certain competitions in our county anyway. And I know there was maybe one in Kerry in the recent weeks where a club proposed disbanding, or not disbanding, but maybe removing some of the divisional teams. But it's very, very rare that we see that kind of proposal. And I think even then, didn't that club overrule and say that we didn't actually send that in? So there's a reluctance to get into the nitty gritty of tackling the issues that in each county or in each district or area or whatever it is. So look, I don't know where it comes. Our clubs struggling for volunteers on the ground that will, get into it too. I know there's definitely that feeling in some clubs that it's the same 4 or 5 officers will serve clubs for years. It probably doesn't help the situation where maybe a bit of fresh blood to shake it up, as it were. I don't know. Is that another issue?
That's all laudable, Tom, and all. But you suddenly have a secretary there does a fantastic job for 5 years.
Absolutely.
And is out in his head, and you can't get anybody. You see this. A lot of the people that are making these decisions and coming up with these ideas, I doubt if they were ever involved in clubs. I doubt if they ever drove a young fella to an underage match or anything like that. The voice of the people, the volunteers on the ground, the voice of the people that keep the underage going, take carloads of young fellas to matches, this, that, and the other thing. That voice has been silenced, Tom.
Yeah, well, we must be careful.
The voice of those that know the logistics of running a club, of organising competitions, participating in competitions. They are the subject now of diktats.
Yeah.
By people that haven't a clue what they're talking about for the most part. And I see the Cork decision being justified in that there's no media allowed into Congress or whatever it is in Congress, I think. And, promising that we'll get a bulletin, if you don't mind, after county board meetings. A bulletin.
Yeah, I think.
I hope this doesn't spread to Limerick, and I'm warning the clubs: be careful, don't have it.
Yeah, certainly. And just a final point on the Cork situation before we wrap this week, I think people need to think as well that, by banning the media will grow ill of the media cover the Irish Examiner, which Owen Cormacan works for, and I know I do some reporting for them myself. They will find other interests that their readers are interested in, would be it rugby, soccer, rowing, cricket, golf, and they might decipher that, we won't cover the GA to the extent, and I'm not speaking for the Examiner there, I'm just saying as a potential example, and it could be the same in other publications or websites or news bulletins, that the GA might find itself further down the pecking order because they might erode that relationship. And there's been a healthy relationship between media and county boards for so long now. And look, I think we need to be careful as to absolutely, eroding that permanently. I think, I'm
around long enough, and this is my last say, and if I'm appealing to clubs again to make sure that doesn't happen, but I'm around long enough when the GA was constantly a stream of criticism of the lack of media coverage that they were getting, and you'd be nearly locked into a room back in the day, are locked into a meeting and not left out until you covered it back in the day. Now they want to shut the door and keep you out. We've come a long way in the wrong direction.
Definitely. Well, we'll watch this space and see what the fallout from Cork, and as Matt says, hopefully it doesn't spread across the province or indeed further. Thanks very much, Matt, for your company this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed the return of Treaty Talk for 2024. Hopefully, as I said at the start, a historic year ahead for the Limerick hurlers, and hopefully plenty of joy for the footballers, ladies football and camogie as well across the different grades. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, happy New Year to everybody involved with Limerick GA across all codes, throwing handball as well, Tom.